The atmosphere looked fairly mad in the Stade Velodrome. As it tends to
for
do.
me, that was the most like the commentator is Glenn Hoddle, and who was doing. Can't remember who was doing. I'm not familiar with his name actually. The guy who was doing the main commentary on what I was watching, but he kept going on about it. Possibly to make the point that we're actually at this game, because a lot of commentary is done now like remotely. But he was like, "This is amazing." The bombs have been the fireworks have been going off all day. Glenn Hoddle is still jittery beside me, but like in a developed country, and I say that in the nice possible way, because I think the richer the people going to games, generally the less atmosphere you get, because it is what it is. That atmosphere was unbelievable. Like it was unbelievably noisy, and I think it affected Spurs in the first half.
Definitely, and to think as well that attendance was down 13,000 because of the ban that they have with the fan, in line for attempted murder, firing a missile at an Eintracht Frankfurt fan in September. So they were punished for that, and as you say, it didn't seem to affect the atmosphere at all. And also, Johnny, you were mentioning in the pre-show meeting that like, it's rare that you get an atmosphere like that in a first world country in matches that nowadays, but with Marseille it doesn't seem to affect them at all, that their geography, they're just so passionate about it. And you're watching visually, if you had the volume off, you would think, there's probably nothing to this match because one side of the stadium is completely empty, and then you turn the volume on, it was incredible. And like BT, made the wise decision to just allow the celebrations to flow once Marseille scored in the stroke of half time, and for about 30 seconds there was silence from the commentators as we heard the crowd. And I wonder did that Jonathan Liew article have anything to do with the commentators staying silent, because that has caused a lot of controversy.
It has. For anyone who hasn't seen this, Jonathan Liew in the Guardian, so the headline, commentators have taken over but it's time to let the game do the talking. And he goes on, it's a criticism of commentary and how much maybe commentators talk. So he says that he talks about the list of names in front of commentators. He says so. He starts off, somewhere in a reinforced concrete bunker in the Northern Hemisphere, Paul Dempsey is still talking. He was talking long before you turned the television on. You can be sure he'll be talking long after you turn it off. He's got a list of names in front of him, stats and facts, reserves of time and patience that will outlast any human living or dead. So he goes on and says, here's Lautaro Martinez, who has never scored a volley in October. He's taking the piss. Lays it off to Francesco Caputo, who owns 4 hats. That's Jackson Bork on the Sampdoria bench, who joined in the summer from Fighting Spiders in the Maltese Premier Division, whose next game you can catch on BT Sport 8 on Thursday at 11 a.m. Like, he goes a little bit far, in my opinion, Jonathan Liew. I don't know what you lads make of the way commentary is developed, but I mean, he's very, very critical. He even, he sacrilegiously criticises Peter Drury at the end, and he goes, overwrought, emotion-soaked commentary specifically geared towards the viral clip market. Milanese mayhem, Peter Drury will shout after a dramatic late winner. A San Siro drama to end all dramas. And you think, alright Peter, it's a 1-0 win in Europa League Group K, let's not go overboard. But like Peter Drury and that shouting that he does and the little quips that he comes up with after a goal makes it for me. He makes a Europa League Group K game interesting, and that I think is the point.
Totally, but I think it's such a subjective thing. Commentary is that I think they fundamentally all perform at the same level in terms of, if you were to read a transcript of what they said for 90 plus minutes, you would say it's pretty consistent with each other. They got everything factually correct. So really then it's just a matter of taste and what voice do you like and what intonations do you prefer as well. And I'd be along with you, Shane. Like, I do like the roller coaster style of they kind of awake you from your slumber, like if something happens. And also, like, I'd often, I'd have a match on and I'd be doing the washing up or something, which would mean just out of sight of the television. So I'm relying on the commentator's tone to change to get back into the room. So I can't have a flat tone of a commentator, Now, I personally love the colour that a voice adds. But you were saying, Johnny, that if it was up to you, you'd have no commentary for certain games. Yeah,
do you remember, was it like initially the red button, you could do that? You could, this is going back a long time now, where you could just make it as the most as live experience, where like you get the noise of the crowd, which last night would have been perfect for that. Now on the other hand, I'm like you, Colm, like my attention span is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So I'm like probably on my phone or on something else. So I do need like to be kind of brought back into it. But commentators, there's so much football on TV now as well that a lot of it does feel almost a little bit contrived in terms of their interest in the game. And I don't want them necessarily to tell me how the game is going. That's for me to judge, like, if that makes sense.
But do you not get little tidbits of information from a co-commentator, a former footballer or a manager who has more insight, granted, than any of us in this room? Who
he may not have.
Well, he may
be absolutely useless.
but more experience in.
He may be on RTE for like the last 15, 20 years and still hasn't been told how to pronounce grammar properly.
Well, that's an issue. Yeah,
just because you may have like 100 international caps or whatever it is, just can you not tell this person it's not like have went, it's have gone? Do you know what I mean? So get the grammar right. I mean, it's time and time again. That would annoy me now.
Yeah. No, look, I get what you're saying, and I think.
He's done well there, like, and you have all these like constants, like, and it's
cliches
like,
as well, like
cliches, and it's like, well,
but can you imagine that the never-ending internal debate that the commentators and co-commentators have for every match is like, when should I speak here? Should I speak here? Should I leave this go? What's the best thing to do here? So you're making those decisions 100 times a game, right? And for the co-commentator especially, when do I come in here? So they're waiting for the cue of the commentator. I mean, really, we should have Nathan Murphy in here telling us exactly how to do it. But like, do you know, I'd be partial to a bit of Nathan commentary because I think he really adds to it.
That's on the radio though.
Yeah, I know, but it's the same topic. Like,
because on the radio you're describing it. On the TV, I can see pretty much everything here.
No,
and
but I think if Nathan was on TV,
you're not adding anything to me. You're telling me like stuff that I already know, and I don't really want to hear you. So you're talking for 90 minutes, like.
Stephen Doyle made the point with us yesterday, who was a commentator with ourselves and Off the Ball, Premier League commentator. He was making the point that there are people at home, elderly people or people who have no conversation at all during the week, and for them, like, that commentator is literally in their homes.
It's company.
It's company.
Yeah,
and like even Kathleen
like
McNamee, our producer Kathleen McNamee, one of our producers is pointing out here, this isn't the first time Liew has written about this. Wrote about it like a year ago too, and broke down the amount of time the commentators now talk compared to before. Got himself in a lot of trouble then too, so clearly something he really feels to wade in on again. Like, look, he's got what he wanted. We're all talking about it. We've clicked into his article, so clearly.
No, I believe that he believes this. Like Kathleen's pointed out, this isn't the first time he said it, and I really, really love Jonathan Liew's writing. I think he's a really imaginative journalist. So I believe him that this is what he thinks, and I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's worth bringing up because
I think
it's polarising, completely polarising what people think about commentators, and it always goes down to examples. But generally, you're going to hear, "I hate so and so." Because they ruined the game for me.
Yeah,
I would not be on that line at all.
That's fair enough. Like, I'm sure not everyone's a fan of us. Like, you know, and I've no issue with that. But like, in fairness to Bruce Millington, the race post, he's been banging this drum for a lot longer than that, and he's been writing about the race post for, I'd say, the go to 10 years. And absolutely, if there are 2 goals in a game and the goal takes like whatever a millisecond each, do I need you to tell me stuff with the other lad or lady for 90 minutes? No.
But what do you want? What are you expecting from your?
I'm not blaming the commentators. Just I prefer to turn it off much of the time.
Okay.
I understand how commentators can be polarising. Like, I can't stand Martin Tyler as a commentator, for example. Now I think
gone.
He's gone. He's gone comfortable in himself, where he's like, I'm a legend now. I can.
And that befalls a lot of people,
especially like watching Liverpool games. Like, and I'm not even a Liverpool fan, but there are times when Liverpool score a goal, a fairly big goal, and you're like, you'd swear they just won a corner, maybe.
Yeah.
In terms of the intonation of his voice, he just gives it nothing. He doesn't give it what he used to give.
Long live Peter Brackley. Like.
Excuse my grammar there.
Peter Brackley just instantly brought back to the 90s.
Yeah.
Football Italia.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's incredible.
Beautiful.
Channel 4. But what I don't understand, and it seems to me that this has only emerged in the last decade or so, maybe even half decade, is the hatred that Martin Tyler receives. I'm firmly on Camp Tyler.
Are you?
Yeah, and even Emma beforehand
today?
was saying, Emma was saying, you know, like, I might be misrepresenting Emma here, and she'll tell me if I am, but I think she said that she's not a big fan of Tyler's, and I've heard that from loads of people.
No, I can't listen to him anymore.
So you're another one.
Yeah, I can't listen to Tyler.
But what's wrong with Tyler?
He hasn't
changed.
Lost the enthusiasm.
Exactly. At his age of like 30 odd years of Premier League, I'd have lost enthusiasm 100%. Like, and there's so much football on now. There's so much money in the game. The atmosphere is not as good at all at a lot of these games. You're doing so much of it. Of course, you're going to lose interest.
Yeah.
If you're still paid,
have we just decided that he's lost interest? No. If you listen to him from the 90s or the 90s to now,
he was different then.
He just sounded young. He sounded younger.
No, he sounded more enthusiastic. He sounded like he was enjoying being there more.
This is his friend, personally, because I think that guy brought the best out of him.
Consistent.
Controversial.
Peter Drury has been consistent forever and always. Clive Tilsley, and I'm biased, I love Clive Tilsley. I've met the man.
What about
George
Hamilton?
George is great. Like, George obviously of Italian 90 and George of now are possibly different as well.
Yeah,
that's why it's so subjective, this thing.
But
I think George of now is not at a Tyler. Like, I still enjoy listening to George, whereas Martin, I don't enjoy listening to Martin.
Yeah, I actually quite like George Hamilton, but the bugbear in our house was that in Ireland games that were so tense during the 90s, and George would be like writing the result with 5 minutes to go, and my old lad would be like, it's not over yet, they could still score, it's like it's 1-0, and often then there would be like an equaliser. But once I got over my father's bias against him, George Hamilton, the Hamilton scores as well, he's a man of the arts,
Class.
And he's just a really nice guy, and he's getting on, and he doesn't sound like he's lost.
No, he has passion for it, definitely. Like, I watched the 21s play the same night as Ireland played Scotland there a few weeks ago, and he was doing that, and like you say, he might as well have been commentating in Italia 90. Like, he treats every game like it's the most important, which is fantastic. That's exactly what you want. But like going back to Tyler, right? I have to say on Tyler here, sorry, because I don't understand the abuse he gets. You see, for me, I associate his voice from back in the day, hearing him on Sky, and we never had Sky growing up. So I associate him with this pining. So I want to subscribe to the Tyler voice, and I couldn't.
He used to go, we'll be back after this, and it's live. Yeah. And now he's like, and it's live.
Yeah, because no, do you know why?
He doesn't care anymore.
It's not that.
He doesn't care.
It's not that, right?
It's live.
So he was told, he doesn't sigh afterwards like, it's live.
Like, do I have to hear?
What happened there was he did it organically for a few times, and everyone was like, that's the Tyler thing.
For the big games.
Then it became contrived, and then he did it, and then he got so much abuse for making it contrived. He was like, well, I'm going to say it because it's a cue for the ad, but I'm not going to be as passionate about it because I'm getting abuse for being passionate. So I think Tyler, the Tyler corner he's in now, he's in a difficult place. He can't do any right for a lot of people. Like, the only thing that will make people happy about Martin Tyler is if he stops commentating, and I don't think he's there yet.
Martin Tyler,
I think he still provides a lot.
He couldn't lace Tilsley's boots. And like Tilsley's never lost.
This is like
he's never lost.
This is like pub talk. Like, he couldn't lay Tilsley's. Like, they're just two commentators. Like,
the irony of it is, I've done co-commentary on OTB FM,
but you do it in an enjoyable way.
I absolutely love it.
You be asking for lifts home and all in the middle of commentary. So like, there's a bit of crack out of your commentary.
Wouldn't fly on Sky.
Like, I've done with Oisin Langan a little bit. Sort of, was that during COVID maybe in the recent years anyway, and I absolutely love it. But if I were on the radio, a load of people wouldn't like listening to me at all, as is the case anyway. So you're like, well, fair enough, I get it. It's just, so it's not for me, some of these people, and it's
subjective. And
a lot of the time I prefer going to a game. I don't want any contact at the game, and I can scan what's going on. And last night was one of the times where you feel like, God, I wish I was at that game. That atmosphere is amazing, and I don't need the commentator.
Des Scahill. Like, when you listen to I think he's retired now, isn't he? But I mean, when you listen to a race with him, it's just iconic.
Yeah.
Murray Walker with Formula One, Bill McLaren. Like, there are people who are
Barry Davis is my favourite. Yeah.
Would you see Des's commentary then would be completely different to the British commentators, and a lot of people would say Des he wasn't being descriptive enough about what was going on. And I've had this conversation with Des, like, well, I don't want I want to describe like as I see it, but I don't want to be making an editorial judgment on the race.
Yeah.
Whereas in Britain, what you get is a 3-horse terrible race on a Monday, and they're making it sound like the Gold Cup. I'm like, well, you have to have some context here. Like, don't be getting excited about a race that's worth $2.5 with 3 bad horses.
But if they don't get excited, then they're accused of Tyler's lack of passion.
You need context though as well. You need, what level am I at here?
There's a compilation. I don't know if it was on TikTok or if it was on YouTube, but someone has done a compilation of Tyler in the last 12 months of fairly big goals, and most of them were Liverpool goals, and just the general ambivalence towards the ball hitting the back of the net. It's almost like, I don't know if VAR has inhibited him in his commentary. Is he waiting for the goal to be scratched off so he's not giving it loads? But
no, do you know what it is?
That's an excuse.
He's often commentating with Gary Neville and RJME Carragher, and I think he's letting them. He's kind of letting them do a lot of the talking now, because Gary Neville never stops talking on commentary, and same with Jamie, right? Yeah. So he's kind of stepping back a bit. But in the live notes here, someone's put it in our own team. Gone are the days of Aguero.
Yeah,
right.
That's gone.
But he can't force it. Maybe he's just not that excited about football anymore.
Exactly. So then you give the job to someone who is.
Yeah. But hold on. But I still don't think he lacks passion for the game. I think he's longing for those Aguero moments, and he's getting through all these games. And he's actually doing exactly what Johnny said, which is, why can't commentators like in the racing, the 3 English commentators, put it into context? And I actually think he's very good at putting games into context.
I think he's lost interest.
I don't think he has.
I think he has.
And I think if he lost interest, he'd be gone. I think he'd walk away.
But sure, was he not kind of like on the way out a few years ago, but there was a clamour to get him back? Am I wrong?
But sorry, I don't want this to come across as ageist. I don't care what age Martin Tyler is. If Martin Tyler is 110 and he still has the same enthusiasm as he always did, I'm all for it. He just doesn't. I mean, he just doesn't. He seems like
he's matured into the grandfatherly type commentator for me. Look, I love his because I associate his voice with something that I always wanted to can never get, and now I have him, and I'm happy with him.
But Micheál O'Hare always had enthusiasm right until the end for Gaelic games, and Martin Tyler doesn't have that. I feel. I mean,
think he does.
Me and my brother have been watching games at home, and like I've done that. What you're saying, Colm, I've gone out to the kitchen and waiting for the intonation to draw me back in.
Not a big Martin's at the helm.
I'll come back in, and there has been a goal, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I mean, there was a goal, but
I'd be very sad. I'd be very angry about that now.
But
I was
his voice
commentator contract that we actually signed together.
Yeah,
you're supposed to tell me when to come back into the room.
There have been a number of times.
We should do Gaelic commentators tomorrow, because that's another very, very divisive.
What's some of the YouTube comments?
There's some great comments coming in here. Like Danny Mack, different class, repeat 3 times, job done. Jimmy McGee. That's incredible. That's Maradona's goal, isn't it?
He was one of the interviews I did in college. I sat with Jimmy McGee for 2 hours one time in the Students' Union bar in UCD, and I mean, the man is. He talked about even in the Cooley Mountains when he was younger, running around fields, like fake commentating on games involving himself, kicking the ball to himself. Like born to be a commentator, but had enthusiasm right the way up. Whether it was Olympic Games, whether it was Gaelic football, whether it was Maradona in '86, he just always had enthusiasm. So I think that's the number one prerequisite to be a commentator, is be fucking enthusiastic about the thing.
I'm still in my 30s, and I struggle to get motivated by the 12, 15 or the early game on a Saturday much of the time, and I'm like, another. And
but if it's a good commentator on, you'll be like, all right, yeah, I'm into it.
Just a lot.
Peter Drury, by the way, he's not on our TV screens enough, because he's I don't know if he's on BN Sports or the American channels, whatever he is. Jim Beglin's another one.
Tony Gobba.
Bring it these back. Lads are just...
What do you want for a 12:30 p.m. commentator?
I actually don't want a game at that time.
That's the other thing. So it's not the commentator's fault.
I'm saying I'm not blaming the commentator. It's hard to motivate yourself.
I get it.
And then if it's not in your heart, it's contrived. And then how do you find the balance? And I think Big Martin hasn't.
People aren't stupid. You can tell when it's contrived.
I think that's a good point, right? So then if you're struggling with the motivational aspect of it, then I think you become informative and go probably stats heavy. And I think then you're providing a service to the viewer. The only commentator I dislike is saying, exactly like you were saying earlier, is literally saying exactly what I'm seeing already. I have no interest in that. But I find it's honestly, that's why it's subjective, so it's all about the voice. So what more can a commentator really do other than kind of telling you what's happening and then throwing over to the analyst next to them? That's really the commentator's job, like.
Yeah.
Conor McNamara too on BBC, I enjoy.
Dave McIntyre, I think, and someone has commented on the it's spinning moment for the Johnny Sexton drop goal against France. Those moments are brilliant. Dave's brilliant. I don't know. The commentary has maybe become a bit diluted, and
so is sport. There's too much sport. Like, there's so much sport.
You love saying that.
I know, but there is it's
never going to stop though. That's not. We're not. It's like the internet.
Less was more. When you didn't have Sky, that was because he wasn't.
We're never going back there. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen again.
There's a lot of love for Peter Drury in the comments as well. And was it Peter Drury when Ronaldo returned to United for the Newcastle game, his first game back, did the whole spiel for the 2 minutes before the game? And some people are like, it's fake, it's planned, it's pre-scripted.
I don't mind that.
Brilliant.
It's rare as well.
If it's good, I don't mind it.
Martin Morrissey likes one of them now before a final, and our own Tommy Walsh.
Yeah, Tommy Walsh. Irish Eyes here in the comments are saying this is getting like an episode of Slight Tangent, and it is, because this actually, we could talk about this all day long.
We could.
But Shane, speaking of different class,
here we go.
You played football with Jermaine Genius last week.
That was the segue. It took 20 minutes.
Segue, yeah. I was waiting for you to get there. Jesus Christ.
What's Jermaine Genius? Yeah.
No biggie.
I came back there, was away for the weekend, came back yesterday. Shane was like, how was JJ? And he was like, oh yeah, it's very good. I was like, what's his touch like? Like, what's he like? I'm fascinated by this now. And Shane was like, oh no, he's like very, very good, very neat and tidy, lacks fitness. And then we talked about that for a few minutes. And then Shane just threw it in there, buried the lead, being like, and I scored as well.
I did,
so Shane, can you talk us through the
It was a good game. There was a 7-a-side in the rooftop.
Talk us through the goal to a commentary.
We want the goal to your commentary.
Give us the commentary.
I can't.
You were interviewing Jermaine Genius.
Because I'd be biased. I'd talk about the finish being the best finish you've ever seen, because I finished it. It was played down the left-footed, bottom right corner. I have to say it was a tidy finish.
Who passed you the ball?
JJ.
Jermaine Genius.
Did he
assisted? No, he was good. He didn't score. Now it was a 3-3. I think it was a 3-3 draw. It finished. He didn't score, but he was good quality in terms of his pass and his technical touch. You can tell when he's a top level footballer, or was a top level footballer. Now he says he hasn't been playing the last 7-8 years. Hasn't been playing much football in terms of five-a-side. He's
You have
avoided.
to throw that caveat out there, like, but
Yeah.
I haven't been, just in case I'm like a little bit crap here.
But he's even avoided, like even the charity games, you know, the 11-side matches. He's avoided all of that. Now he's in great shape. He's obviously he's doing gym work and stuff.
Yeah, it's the same with Rio Ferdinand,
Yeah.
where they were both very slight when they played. And
He's
they
got
both,
bigger muscles now than he ever did it when he was a
I
Premier
gave
League
out
footballer.
about him as a co-commentator only about 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, well, the night before he was on CoCom's. The night before I was with him, he was at CoCom's for the Spurs game, the VAR 2.5 minute goal, and he was going on about the goal shouldn't have been disallowed and stuff.
He's a good lad.
Nice lad, nice lad, Jermaine.
What did he make of you?
I thought he was a legend. I was asking him in the interview, do you know who's the best midfielder you've ever played with, apart from myself, obviously.
Yeah.
He was full of Luka Modric. I think he named as the best midfielder he's played with, but full of praise for Robbie Keane in terms of a player says he's the most intelligent footballer he ever played with.
Wow.
Just could read each other, telepathic kind of, and you'll know from watching that Spurs team and highlights of in the back, like Jimmy Genius often set up Keane and vice versa, and there was just something. Even Berbatov as well was involved, and I mean Berbatov Keane up front was just remarkable, and that Tottenham team was something else. But I like Genius, and he spoke very honestly about, was it the Capello days? He only has 19 England caps, I think, which is a regret for him. You know, he was in the form of his life around the 07, 08, and he feels like he didn't maybe get the chances he deserved with England.
He's an interesting player. I always thought Genius was on the cusp of being a very good player.
Yeah.
And just never quite got there. He had great moments. I remember in Nottingham Forest, he was one of the hot prospects in English football.
Yeah.
And then for Newcastle, he scored that great goal against Manchester United at St James's Park. But United won that game 6-2. And he scored the goal, right? This is 2003. And it was an absolute thunderbolt from about 30 yards out.
How would Tyler,
and who was
how would Tyler
commentating?
have described it?
It was Tyler.
Oh, great
and do you know
goal.
what he said? Do you know what he said? Jermaine Genius. Genius by name, genius by nature. After he scored that goal. Now that is
Dad
class.
jokes.
And
Dad jokes
also
101.
around that
What
time,
was the goal like again? Like, it was a long range
like on the
strike.
half volley, and it was rising to the top corner. Barthez. The great thing about Barthez was he conceded a lot of goals, but he made every goal look great because he'd really dive for them. He'd really
like a
go
pub
for them.
conversation. I was gone from like Genius to Bart.
No, but that's important. Just this is Tyler. And also around the same time, England played Japan in a friendly. Tyler was commentating when Sky Sports used to have their friendlies, and Shinji Ono scored for Japan. And he said, "Oh no for Japan, oh no for England."
Oh, that's pretty. I'll take that one.
You know, Johnny's got. So I'm telling you, look, there's a lot in the Tyler cabinet that he just he stores away for a rainy day.
Genius is one of these fellas. Obviously, he's doing magazine type shows as well. He's done the One Show, and he's interviewing Tom Hanks and Jennifer Aniston week in, week out, and these people as well. So he's he loves the media and loves getting himself out there. But he spoke very warmly as well about Bobby Robson and the impact he had. Very good on the Kieran Dyer, Lee Bowyer fracas that he was. I think he was just taken off Genius for Newcastle that day, and he said he was shocked because himself, Bowyer, Dyer, Jonathan Woodgate and someone else,
the lads,
were used to sit in a group for breakfast at training every single morning, and like they were the best of mates, Bowyer and Dyer, and just apparently came out of the blue, this brawl.
Right.
But it's a good insight, and he's a Nottingham Forest fan. He's a Nottingham boy originally. So Roy Keane, he spoke about trying to face off Roy Keane when he was 19 or 20, first coming into the Premier League, and Keane kind of just they hit each other hard in a tackle, and Genius tried to say something to him, and he said Keane just looked at him and smirked as if to say, "Kid, I've been there, done that. I've had people trying this with me a lot over the years, so you're not going to intimidate me."
This interview is available.
It's available wherever you get your podcasts. OTB football stream. So we played it out in Saturday's show, but he was really good, I have to say, Jermaine Genius. So let us know in the comments. We did this on Saturday as well. Who's the best footballer you've ever played 5 or 7 aside with?